All right, time for a garage goober trick or tip. Trick, tip, whichever. A lot of people have problems drilling their barrel pinhole and keeping it straight and not egging on the opposite side. Some people drill from one side halfway, flip it over, drill from the other side halfway, and then use a reamer to try to true everything up. And that's great and everything if this flat section on either side of your trunnion and your barrel pinhole are 90 degrees from each other, and I can guarantee you they're not. I have yet to find one that was or is. Doesn't matter what I've got. This is a Polish, circle 11 there, and it has more room on this side, as you can see, before it gets to that cutout where the mill was. A little bit of material left there. If you go to this side, you can see a flat in here, or actually it's a small radius where the drill come through. So that tells me that this hole is crooked. Now that's exaggerated, but it is crooked. But I would set these things up, get this nice and flat, and I usually drill straight through. Like, I'll pick that hole up and go straight through. Then on the other side, it's like, oh, there'd be this little bit of a moon shape or a little bit of a vacant area wherever on here. It's like, oh crap, it's egged. How'd that happen? I had everything flat. When I started inspecting these more, this one's the same way. There's just a little bit of room over this side before it makes contact with this surface here, that hole. But if you look over here, this hole here is actually crooked that way. Anyway, I try using my little drill press vise here, which a lot of people have in their garage, but it's not the best in the world. If you're just slapping a hole in something, it doesn't matter. It works great. Even though an AK is not considered anywhere near precision, you still want to do a halfway decent job. I try to clamp on something here, it would cause the part to kick over. I was like, well, I can't do that to drill the barrel pin. So, working in a machine shop, I have access to stuff like this. This is my own personal V block. It looks like a V. But when you clamp it, see, it'll move too. It kicks up. Which was fine, because I could lock it down, but I could have the barrel in here. I made a little brass nut for it, or whatever, just to keep from marring up anything. But I could clamp that down after I get it clocked wherever I want it. And if I started doing this first and leveling this, but the hole would come out egged. So crap, what's the problem? After more inspection, I started realizing that these pinholes are not always perfect with everything else. I mean, nothing on here will be, trust me. I have access to a surface block that's 0.2 of a thousandth of an inch in flatness all the way across the whole thing. I can lay it on here and on this area, and it wobbles back and forth. So none of this is true. If you look on here, this section is smaller than this section, which means it's sitting in here crooked. So either this bottom section flat here has been milled at an angle, or the grooves here that allows the trunnion to, or the receiver to slide into the trunnion, one's higher than the other. Who knows? But don't ever, ever, ever trust that, oh, I'll just lay this down right here, that's good and flat, it'll be good. Nope. It might be good enough, but it's not going to be how you're going to want it in the final product, most likely. You're going to be a little ticked off when you do this, and it's big old egg nasty hole on the other side. Like I said, I use this so I can clock it around. Like, that's great and all, but how do you still match that hole? Because even with clocking it like this, if I just pick up one side and try to drill straight through, or pick up the other side and drill halfway or whatever, flipping it back and forth, that hole's still crooked. So that drill's going to want to follow wherever the path of least resistance is. That's where a smaller drill bit comes in handy. Now, I like these that are recessed in here, because they'll just slide in so far before you get to the pressed area. But anyway, so this one will be perfect to show. Now, if you have a virgin barrel like this one that has not been drilled yet, this is what this setup is for. When you've got it in there, of course, like I said, I can cheat by using this. I can clock that and rotate it around anywhere I want to. I want to triangulate my hole. How do you do that? Find you a drill bit, either from English, metric, letter size, whatever, that will just barely pass through. Like this one has a lot of room, so this one obviously isn't the one I would use if I was setting it up. But this is just for showing you guys. You want to be able to find one that will pass all the way through it. I mean, just barely. The back side here, not the fluted side, the back side. Use this like a dowel. It should just make it through there. If you can just barely get that booger through there, that means it will be making contact on this top side of the trunnion, this top side of the trunnion hole, and the top of the barrel, which means that hole will match the factory now. That makes sense? What I do is I'll take all this, set it up in my drill press. I'll put this part here, the fluted part, up inside the chuck with just this sticking out. And then I will run that chuck up and down with that drill bit that I know just barely makes it through there. And get that lined up, then I'll clamp it down, I'll check it, make sure it's good to go. Once I do that, then I will actually get the drill that I need for the pin, locate the hole, make sure it's centered up in there, and then I'll just drill straight through real nice and slow. I've done 2 of them that way so far, and they have worked out perfect. So hopefully that makes sense. It's just a little garage goober trick there. I wish I'd have learned this when I first started building. I've built several of these, and I've just in the last 2 or 3 is I've realized, oh, if I do that, But anyway, there's your garage goober trick for the day. You can see it rotated it all on its own.